Howdy, everyone who's watching this post, and for those of you who may join immediately, which I doubt it because I didn't put anything out to say that I was going live. A couple of things to say before people start joining, which is extremely important. I go away tomorrow. Katie and I go to Turkey tomorrow, and we were not back until Wednesday, which means responses of comments will be shortened. Responding to clients will be shortened to one sort of section a day. So you'll still definitely get a minimum of one email a day, assuming the hotel has Wi-Fi that I can use from my bedroom or from the hotel room. If not, then unfortunately I won't be able to respond to any email clients, which means that anyone who is an email client will get an extra week extended onto their coaching. So you're not just losing a week just because I'm away. If I can email, I will still be taking on email clients, but if I can't, then I won't be. And I won't be doing any calls, but you can obviously pay for calls and then do them when we're back. Same thing with emails. If I can't email and you pay for emailing, we'll just start once I'm back. I think that's everything to basically say about like me going away. I have more content planned and pre-recorded of viewer success stories as well as an affirmations tape and stuff like that. So you're still going to get content from me. Not as many shorts just because I haven't been able to record them. And yeah, for those of you that are interested, the 2 members only videos have been posted today. Oh, sorry, one of them's been posted. No, they've both been posted today actually. So the self-improvement one as well as the manifestation one. Sure, if you're interested in that, by all means go check that out. If you're interested in a bunch of other free stuff as well, by all means go check out the membership. Katie is there. It's just we're trying to do a bit of a shorter live stream today because obviously we have to pack and sort of get stuff ready. So we've just done it in the room to then sort of get it out the way in a more comfortable setting, and then, you know, go on about our days getting stuff done. So with that all out of the way, I think I pretty much covered everything. Time to get in some of the comments and stuff. So Rev T says, howdy, Rev T. Glad to have you here. Dr. R says, hey, howdy, Dr. R. Alicia says, hi, howdy, Alicia. Random name says, howdy, random name. So Amazing says, hey, howdy, so amazing. Alexandra Ayudish says, hey, howdy. Shani says, howdy. And Alexandra again says, hi, Matt and Katie, howdy. Glad to have you all here. Victory 3002 Play says, hi, no way, I've been thinking about your stream, video, or something. Well, here you go, you made it happen. I was away all weekend. I'm extremely burnt. So that's why there was no live stream. That's why there was no video today, even though today's usually the video day. And that's why there's not been many comments responded to. I was at my mate's house and then we went to the beach yesterday and stuff. So haven't had the time. But yeah, that's why we decided to do a live stream today, to obviously give you some content, but also to let you know that we're going away and kind of have that at the beginning of the live, so that anyone watching it post will obviously hear it. But yeah, you made it happen. And Rev T says, hey, Katie.
Hello.
So if we could all like the live stream as well, it just gets it pushed out to more people, just helps us out a little bit. And obviously it helps other people that might not know that we exist, and we could potentially change their life. So if we could all like the live stream, that would be really appreciated. What was I going to say while I wait for more comments and stuff to come in? I hope you guys had a great weekend. Yeah, the weekend was, well, my weekend was great. I was away. Katie stayed at home and kind of did her own thing. Was it a good weekend?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I cleaned the entire house, basically.
There we go. That sounds fun.
That was my weekend. I like it to be like ready when you come back from the holiday, like really nice. Obviously, right now this room is quite messy because we are packing in it, but yeah, basically, I like it to be nice and clean and tidy when you walk through the door. So then all you have is all the washing from the holiday.
Absolutely. And Beth says, love your teachings. Thank you very much, Beth. Thank you very much, Beth. I really appreciate it. If you've seen any of my older stuff, it's definitely not been this good the entire time. It definitely made a lot of improvements, but no, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, we will be doing live member only live soon as well, because the lives, obviously this one's probably not going to be too packed because it was very last minute on a day that I don't normally do the live streams. But usually the live streams are super packed and not everyone's getting their stuff answered. So that's obviously something that I want to address. But if we were to answer everyone, we'd end up spending hours doing it. So I'm going to be doing members only live soon as well. But they're going to be more of like a hot seat thing as opposed to like where you comment and I answer. It would probably be more a case of get on Zoom, we'll speak face to face. You can have like a question or two depending on how many people are in. And obviously all that is just through the membership, which is only £6 a month, which is, in my opinion, very cheap. I was actually speaking to someone the other day who's a a member of someone else, another coach's membership, and they said it was like £44 per month, and I was like, rah, like I must be doing something wrong if mine's only £6, and I offer more in terms of what you can get from it. But hey ho, I'm here for the people. But yeah, so members only lives is something that will be coming very soon. So I do recommend you sign up for the membership while you can, because once I start doing more stuff like putting on courses and all that lot, I'll probably be upping the price a little bit to account for that. And if you get on it now, the price doesn't change for you as part of the bonuses of like the site, I suppose. So it's obviously a benefit. But I'm going to stop boring you with selling myself now and start actually answering your questions. Random Name says, how do you guys feel about nervous system regulation in regards to manifestation? I've noticed we acknowledge how mind affects the body, but not vice versa. I think regulation in every sense, whether it's nervous system regulation, whether it's any other kind of regulation, I think it's all very important. I think that one of the best ways to manifest effectively is to notice what you're thinking and feeling and finding a way to regulate it effectively. If you're sat there in absolute distraught tears over something and then you've decided to affirm through it in tears, you're probably going to feel awful and it's not going to be the most enjoyable thing. However, if you just take some time, even if it's only 5 minutes for yourself, just to calm yourself down, you will have a much better process and time navigating through it than if you weren't to. So I think any kind of regulation is very beneficial. And I feel like you probably have something to say on this as well.
Yeah, I definitely do think that the way that your body is in the moment definitely has a massive effect on your mind, even where you physically are, like even, where you are in the space sort of thing has a massive effect over like what your mind can and cannot achieve sort of thing. So I definitely think that coming from a much better state of mind when doing these kind of things, like, taking away the panic, taking away like the physical symptoms of a panic attack before you try and address what you're panicking about, is a better way to cope with things, especially like, the physical symptoms can actually start to massively overwhelm your own mind and stuff like that. So to take them away before you then try and go back to sort of like controlling your mind, I think has a much better outcome than trying to just like kind of train wreck through it sort of thing. Because all you do there is, like if you're having a panic attack and you try and think of things to not panic yourself, more often than not, you end up in a bigger spiral than you were before. Whereas if you ground yourself and you take the moment to actually like breathe through it and, focus on bringing yourself back in, then try and remove the thoughts, it's so much easier and it's so much like safer, I think.
Absolutely. So Amazing says, happy to see you both live. Thank you very much. Happy to have you here. Oh, it jumped. It's probably the quickest it's ever done that. Alicia, apologies if I said that wrong. I have a question about backup plans. My SP wants me to move out, but I want to continue living with him. I found a new place in the meantime, and I'm supposed to move in this week. Want to move in, but I want to continue living with it. So is your question like, should you have backup plans, or are backup plans like detrimental, or what's the... I'm going to answer assuming you mean, is it bad to have backup plans? I personally think not. Now, I don't think that you should have backup plans to the point where you're obsessive about it. Like, I need to make sure this happens. I need to make sure that I need to... Oh, I accidentally almost just clicked off. There we go. I don't think it's that obsessive, but like, I think that having a backup plan can be something that is beneficial to help relieve yourself from any kinds of concern about what might play out. I know a lot of people, especially considering we live this day-to-day life, and sometimes the manifestation isn't instant. So I can understand that it's very difficult for you to just be like, I'm just going to pretend like nothing else exists and there's only this outcome and then commit to it. Obviously, if you can do that, it would be more beneficial for... it'd be more beneficial for you. However, I think that the at least consideration of if this goes wrong, then this can work out or something like that, doing it like once just so you know that it's a rough plan will allow you to kind of let go of all of those kind of things. I personally do it all the time. I don't like to commit to any big decisions without at least having considered the worst case scenario, because then once I've considered the worst case scenario, I know roughly what to do when it happens. And now that I know what to do when it happens, I never really have to think about the worst case scenario again until it just happens, if it ever does. But then when it does, you're already covered. So I think backup plans in that regard are perfectly fine. Work it out, consider it, do what you got to do, and then go back onto your end result. It's a dominant state. You don't have to stay dwelling in that backup plan forever. It's just a consideration, and then boom, go on with continuing in your end result.
I have to agree. I think once you've made a like backup plan, that's the only one time you have to think about it. Therefore, you can't then, spend your time creating that and making that happen because you've thought about it. You've got the idea in your head. So if you ever end up in that situation for whatever reason, you know how to fix it, sort of thing. But it allows you to completely remove your mind from it, and you don't ever have to think about that thing again, sort of thing. Obviously, they pop up every now and then, and you get like the little worry, like, oh, what if this happens? But you can then tell yourself, I know what I'll do if that happens, and then carry on about your day. Whereas if you don't have like I know what to do in that situation, every time that, oh no, what if this happens pops up, you're like, oh, well, maybe I'll do that, or maybe I'll do this. And then you're spending a lot more time thinking about it, and a lot more of your focus is on the idea that might happen in the first place. So, you're spending more time like in that state than you are in the happy state of the end. You spend more time in the state of like worry and panic, like, oh, but that might happen, and then I might have to do this and I might have to do that. Whereas if you just have a very clear, just one time, plan it, even if you have to, just have it like written down. Only the smallest thing. Don't go into loads of detail. Don't like, spend ages scripting it out and making it like happen, but just have that there. And then you never have to think about it again. You just go, I've got a plan for that. Don't you worry, and carry on.
Absolutely. Sharon says, hey, Matt and Katie, do you have to do Rampage version without affirmations to get RSP faster? Not necessarily. Some people might find that it helps them get it faster or more efficiently because they're placing more focus on it and just rampaging through. However, you don't necessarily need to do it to get it faster. The thing to get your specific person faster is to stop trying to get it faster. I know it sounds very contradictory, but if you were with your person, would you be trying to make it happen faster, or would you just be enjoying the moment? Same thing here. Focus more on just trying to enjoy what you're doing and living in that end result, as opposed to trying to make it a thing that gets you something, if that makes sense. Try to experience those affirmations instead of trying to use them. That will get your specific person faster. And it doesn't even have to be anything like crazy. I literally just say my affirmations nonchalantly out loud and go on about my day. I'll literally just be like, oh yeah, a couple of examples. Let's just use money. I would literally just be like, I'm so happy and grateful to make so much money. Money comes so easily to me. Money flows to me like water, or stuff like that. And how I just said it there, obviously I'd say it a bit more structured because I'd actually consider the affirmations that I'm going to use. But that way of saying it is exactly all I do, and it works perfectly fine. And I think when you say it without caring whether or not it's a lie, whether you're just saying a statement, makes it a lot easier for you to actually just let those words be your truth, as opposed to then when your mind goes, oh, but that's not true. It's like, how can you tell me it's not true when I'm just making a matter-of-fact statement or a nonchalant statement? Which is one of the reasons why I find it quite easy to not let my mind get in my way, because I don't really care about what I'm saying enough. I know that the repetition works, therefore I continue to repeat, but I don't actually care enough about what I say in order for my mind to get in the way. Very rarely do I ever have any kind of resistance to any of the affirmations that I make because of that. I just say them, try to experience and enjoy them as I'm saying them, and then go on about my day. Katrina says, hi guys, nice to see you again. Nice to see you too. Any affirmations I could use to keep myself stable while there is a third party out there? So this is an interesting one. I think like trying to have affirmations to keep you stable is more of like a surface level thing. That's more about like wiping away the blood as opposed to dressing the wound sort of thing. But for those kind of situations, you could do something like, regardless of what the 3D holds, I'm calm, collected, and confident, or something like that. Or I am secure within myself to know that the 3D doesn't bother me, or things of that nature. But I think what would benefit you most in order to stay stable is to consider what it is about this third party that concerns you, why you feel like they're a threat to your stability, for example, and then create affirmations that detail the opposite of that. So, for example, if you feel like you're not good enough because of this person being involved, which is obviously because they're involved, it shows that you're not the chosen person. Start having affirmations that are like stuff about like, I always have been and I always will be chosen for these loving, committed relationships with the men that I desire, for example. And what this will do is it will actually address the reason why you feel unstable when that third party comes up, because it's affecting some sort of negative internal story, which is then why you get knocked. So if you can sort of strengthen that internal story, it will be a lot harder for you to be knocked by any kind of third person, because they're no longer negatively validating any kind of story that you have going on internally, because you've either shifted it or built up a resilience towards it. Everything is like deep rooted. That's what I would recommend. Anytime you have a situation, negative thoughts, negative circumstance, anything like that, if it really is affecting you negatively, I would recommend getting to the actual root cause of it as opposed to trying to address the surface level. For example, like I said here, your stability situation, you could have affirmations for more stability, but then it's not really addressing the reason why you're being knocked in terms of your stability. Whereas if you address that, your stability will be addressed as kind of a bonus knock-on effect toward that. Juhi says, how to not focus on time passing by. I tend to find it difficult to persist as days pass as I get intrusive thoughts about the amount of time passing. So time is one of those situations that everyone has their different reasons for being concerned about the time. Can you go?
Yeah, can you?
Huh?
Can you?
Can I? Oh, yeah. Sorry, one sec, people. Katie's going to go do something. And I might need to mute it because she's going to kick some ass. Nah, the kids are basically being a pain in the ass and she wanted me to turn the camera away. What was I going to say? Everyone has their different reasons for time. Everyone has their concern about what time actually means to them. And I think the way to deal with moving past time is to look into your reason. So, for example, let's say it's a specific person, which I'm assuming you are because you don't necessarily say, but I'm assuming because most people do. Let's say that time passes by. It might be because you're scared you're going to lose feelings. You might be concerned about time because the longer time passes, how can they ever keep those feelings for you? It might be scared about time because the longer the time passes, someone else might take your spot. There's 3 different reasons why time might be a concern for you. So what I recommend you do is to find, in the corner, is to find your reason for time being your concern and then actually address said reason. So if it's about them maybe moving on to finding someone better, your concern isn't necessarily that time is passing by. It's the concern that what if someone else takes my place? And you're using time as the bleeding out of that. It makes sense to you logically that the longer time passes, the more chance there is of them finding someone else. Now, if you could guarantee that they wouldn't be able to find someone else, you probably wouldn't be as concerned about time. Maybe a little bit, but not as concerned because you wouldn't be fearing that outcome sort of thing. So what I recommend you do there is look into your reason for time. Why are you concerned about time? And then actually addressing that in and of itself. So if we use this idea of like someone else taking your place, you know that you're scared about that because someone could replace you. But in order for someone to replace you, that must mean that you feel replaceable or you don't feel good enough for them to be willing to wait for you or to come back to you or anything like that. Therefore, that's the thing that you need to address. And then by improving that element of yourself, you will have then less concerns about time because the thing that you're scared about time being involved with or the time being the factor included will be addressed. Therefore, time is less of a concern. Time is like the middle when it comes to negative thinking, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does, but address the reason why you're scared about time and time will be less of a concern, basically, in short. So Amazing says, do you feel it's better to manifest multiple things at a time or focus on a single thing if the desire is very much important, like health? Thank you, guys. I 100% in any aspect, not just whether it's important, think that having multiple desires is the best thing for you to do. Let me use like an investment portfolio as an example. Let's say that I only invest in Tesla. Elon Musk says something hilarious, but people take it too seriously, and his stock price absolutely plummets. If I only have Tesla invested in Tesla and then his stock price plummets, that's going to concern the fuck out of me because I'm now losing money. Whereas if I have like Tesla, McDonald's, KFC, Amazon, for example, those 4, let's say that Elon Musk does something awful, his stock price drops, but my others are all still fine, maybe even going up a little bit. I'm not going to be so concerned because my portfolio isn't taking as big of a hit. If I've got an equal amount in each one of those things, I will only lose 1/5 of my portfolio's amount due to that loss, as opposed to the entire of my portfolio dropping out. So this is why I think it's the best thing for you to do to manifest multiple things at once. Because if you're getting a person, if you're getting a job, if you're getting a physique, if you're getting a house, and 3 of those things are going amazing and only one of them seems to be getting no movement or kind of sucks a little bit, it's going to be a lot easier for me to cry about my specific person being a dick while I'm in my new house doing my new job with this banging body, as opposed to not having any of those things and my specific person being a dick. So I highly recommend you have multiple things that you're focusing on, because then your manifestation portfolio won't take such a hit if the thing that is important to you doesn't seem to be going as well. It's a lot easier to cry in a Lambo than it is to cry in a Corsa. So focus on multiple things and improve every aspect of your life, and you will probably find yourself less attached and feeling less negative overall. I lost where I was. And then it skipped, which made it even worse. Yeah, so Crimson Music says, howdy, howdy. Howdy, howdy, Crimson Music. Glad to have you here. Tiger Claw says, hey, Matt and Katie, how should I go about visualizing my ideal girlfriend who would be a completely new person? Now, if you have the features of what you would like as in like you really want someone who's got brown hair and is like 5'3", for example, you could visualize an individual with those kind of features. You know, you could be, I don't know, cuddling someone from behind and that's what they look like, just as an example. If you have no idea what it is that you want within your person, you know, you just want an amazing relationship, you could visualize you talking to like your mom or your friend or something and saying, I've just met this amazing girl. She's perfect for me in every single way. We're hitting it off like crazy and I'm so happy to be with her, or something like that. Because that implies that you're with someone that is perfect for you. That implies that everything's great and it's going off like really well and all those kinds of things. So those are a couple of ideas. But yeah, like, get clear on what it is that you want, whether there are certain characteristics that are important to you, for example, any certain looks, personality traits, career choices, whatever it is that you want them to have, and then trying to visualize something that implies that you're with someone of that caliber, i.e. you talking to your friend, or you actually sort of visualizing that specific person and just relishing that end result. Victory says, I have a question about scripting. I try to use story type scripting. It's one time detailed and connected, or just the concepts of the aspects realms of my life. Should I use the shopping list? If you want to use the shopping list, by all means do so. I think the shopping list is great when you want to script but don't want to spend too much time doing so, and it's great for keeping an eye on what it is that you've been focusing on manifesting, to therefore go, oh, this is what I have achieved, this works for me. Like, if you obviously write a whole story, then you kind of got to go sift through the story, but like, did we have this date, did we do this, did we do that? And it just takes more time. Whereas if it's a shopping list and you're like, I received the coffee, I received the compliment, I received this, you could just go, oh yeah, I did get my coffee. Oh yeah, I did get my compliment. And then bang, 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 bang. So if you want to try it, by all means try it, but you don't have to. It's not like you're not going to get success if you stick to the story method. You can just do whatever you fancy doing. They're all just different ways of structuring your thinking. So if you want to utilize them, by all means do so, but you don't have to. Tiger Claw says, also, is there any way to maintain a mental diet without constantly fighting your negative thoughts, which can cause a burnout, in my opinion? Yeah, so I don't actually ever recommend fighting your thoughts. In order for you to fight something, there must be an opponent for you to fight. And because your subconscious mind gives you what you're already giving it, or what the state that you're in, if you're in a fight, you must be given more to continue fighting with. So it's kind of like trying to swim upriver. It's just pointless. So what I recommend you do in those kind of instances is not fight with it, not swim upriver, and instead take your focus away from it. So if you have like negative thoughts and stuff, instead of like trying to battle it out and just keeping yourself locked in that sort of one-on-one war, instead maybe take a few deep breaths, focus on your breathing. When you're focusing on the like deep breaths, like 3 seconds in, pause, 3 seconds out sort of thing, if you focus on it as you're doing it, it's a lot harder for you to focus on anything else. It's a lot harder for you to be like focusing on your breathing in every second and then go, oh yeah, but still this other thing shit. The thoughts might come back up and that's perfectly fine if they do. Just redirect focus away. Then when you feel calmer or more reset or more neutral, that's when you should go back onto your general affirmations or your specific specific desire affirmations, because you're no longer in a state of battling. You've gone to neutral playing field, you've gone to like calmer waters, and now you're trying to do that swimming. Now you're trying to sort of make headway. And then in those instances, you'll find it not only less of a battle, but less of a burnout as well. Dr. R says, hey Matt, how do I manifest my money back from a person who's borrowed from me and blocked me after that? Focus on the end result of having the money. Now you could, if you do affirmations, it could be something like, I'm so grateful, person has paid me back what they owe me. Or if it's visualizations you could visualize them sending you money, but it doesn't matter that they've blocked you. It doesn't matter any of that lot. The end result is you having that money back from said person. So whatever technique you choose to do, I would advise focusing on that, saying they've done this for me already, and dwell in that end result. And then obviously don't assume, oh, they've blocked me, this is going to be a factor, because it's not. Blocking is just a 3D thing. Your subconscious mind can move mountains. There's no reason why it can't unblock you and then get them to pay you back, and then maybe they even block you again after, who knows. But dwell in an end result in which they have done the thing that you desire them to have done, and try to focus solely on that. Katie Johnson says, happy afternoon. Howdy. It's evening for us here. Do you and Katie believe in the potential of telepathy? Just in general, it's possible. Well, basically anything to a degree that we do is telepathy. Maybe not to the direct stuff that you see in films, so to speak, whereas I can think something and Katie right this second picks up on it, sort of thing, and then she's like, oh yeah, he said to go downstairs and do something. But everything manifestation related is telepathy to a degree. You're shifting someone's thoughts by shifting the way that you assume them to be and assume them to think and feel and stuff. So anything, depending on what kind of telepathy you're trying to talk about, anything in the manifestation realm is telepathy. Random Name says, yeah, trauma and negative feelings can get stuck in the nervous system and can generate thoughts. Bigger example is OCD. When it gets triggered, hence why we spiral at times when we feel scared. Yeah, the body finds ways to cope with certain things. Therefore, if you have to regulate those kinds of feelings, it's definitely worth doing so. And like I said earlier, and like Katie said as well, it's worth regulating yourself in any moment. Similar to what I just said a second ago as well about the focusing on your breathing. It's you kind of taking that step back to go, okay, here's the situation. Let me just calm myself down a bit and then go back into it stronger than before. So if any of you are scared to not battle those thoughts and instead remove yourself from them, it's actually more beneficial for you to do so. Oh, hang on. Oh yeah. Victory says continuation, maybe like the extra effort and little. Oh, hang on. This is what was your last thing? So this is about the scripting stuff. And then you also say maybe like the extra effort and a little help for believing in my manifestation, just to clarify that everything is already mine. For example, I have perfect grades. I'm the top student. Like I said earlier, if you want to try it, by all means try it. It's all just ways of directing your thoughts. So it's not like because you generally like to do the story method and now you're trying the scripting one, it's going to go wrong or that it won't work. It's all just about putting stuff in practice and actually giving it the chance to work. One thing that quite a lot of people do is they're like, oh, I've tried every technique under the sun and none of them work. And it's like, okay, so if you tried every single one of them, does that mean that you're technique hopping because they didn't work quick enough? And then obviously by getting in that mindset, you're making things worse for yourself. So what I recommend you do if you are going to try different things is actually give them a chance to work. And if they don't seem to work and you kind of get bored of them, don't claim it's because they didn't work. Just say, that's not for me. You don't have to assume it's not for you because it didn't work. Why not say that worked amazing, but it wasn't for me, and benefit yourself? And then you never have to do the technique again, but you're at least not putting more of a negative of saying this didn't work for me. That makes sense. Raina says, hello, I'm seeing 111 or 1111 every time. Also, the name of my SPs in streets, car license plates, name tags, etc. Are these signs my manifestation is coming? It's been a whole year since we talked. So they are definitely signs that your subconscious mind is picking up on where you're placing your focus. Where your focus goes, energy flows, and this could quite possibly be that. I would say that enjoy them, use them as fuel to sort of say, yeah, this is all coming my way and everything, but they're not your end result. So continue to focus on your end result, allow that to come in, allow that to take your dominant focus, and it will come in for you. Obviously, if you end up focusing loads on the signs to say it's coming, by saying it's coming, you're putting it at some point in the future. So every time you see a sign, say, wow, this is here, it's here, I've got it now, and just kind of use it as a reminder to say it's actually here instead of it's on its way. Marnie says, hey both. So Matt knows my story, but I finally have my SP back and he's making much more effort to see me and is open to a relationship now and has been so honest with me about everything. But his texting is so blunt, sometimes it gives me mixed signals. What should I affirm to make things better? I get bored after affirming things for a few days and feel silly if I don't see movement. Okay, well, obviously that sort of getting bored and not after a few days not seeing movement is one of those things that's going to hold you back a little bit, because it's shifting a mindset. Affirming is just a way to structure your thinking. So if you're not affirming, then what are you thinking? If you don't want to at least affirm, then try to keep an eye on your thoughts on a general basis, because affirming and thinking are not different. Visualization and thinking are not different. Scripting and thinking are not different. They're just ways of structuring said thoughts. If I was to say to you right now, think as though he texts you greatly, amazingly, I don't know, it'd probably be quite difficult for you to just think that. Or if you did, it might not be the most enjoyable of processes. Whereas if I say, affirms yourself that he texts you amazingly, you know how to do that. It's just quick and easy. So it's ways of structuring our thinking. So if you don't want to affirm for more than a few days, then at least try to consider your thoughts and what they're doing. But as for like what you should affirm, I would recommend affirming things like, I'm so grateful. SP is such an amazing and fulfilling texter. Or every time I have a texting conversation with SP, I walk away feeling, sure, calm, confident that he adores me, or things of that nature. Try to affirm something that details the idea that he is doing what it is that you actually want, and try to dwell in that. And like I said, if you start to feel a bit bored or feel a bit silly after a few days, at least try to keep an eye on your thoughts if you choose to stop affirming. But it's good to hear that like he's coming back and he's offering you more than he was before he left, because that's obviously all movement towards your end result, which is great.
I was just going to add, when he texts you sort of like a little short, blunt text, why not just, decide what he texted you instead? So like, the thing is with text, and I always find this with myself personally, is reading a tone of a text is impossible. Even with emojis, some people use like that weird like sideways eye emojis for like an eye roll, whereas other people use it as like a laughing kind of like, do you know what I mean? So even with like emojis and stuff, there is a mixture of devices that show them differently and all of this kind of thing. So I think one thing to remember with text in particular is you can, genuinely just decide exactly what they meant and how they meant it to come across through the text. It can be a little bit harder when it's somebody saying something to you, because you can hear the tone of their voice and you can see their facial expressions. Sorry. So sometimes it's harder to change that. But when it's a text, you can have any tone to it. You can choose exactly how they're speaking to you. And I find personally that when I'm in a bad mood, or if I'm having like a bit of a stressful day and somebody texts me saying, "Hi, how are you?" I'll read that as, "Hi, how are you?" As in like, oh, they're messaging me because I haven't messaged them in like 3 whole days. And so they're now pissy at me because, they're like, "Oh, I haven't heard from you for so long." And it's simply a text, "Hi, how are you?" They could be sending it, "Hi, how are you?" But I read it as, "Hi, how are you?" Like they're blunt and pissed off at me and annoyed at me, sort of thing. So I think with text, definitely when you read it, just decide how to read it. And yeah, it could only be a couple of words, but you could also just add in words as you read it in your head. If he said, "How's your day?" you could change that as you're reading it to, "Hi, lovely, how's your day going? I'm thinking about you." You can change it, and you can change the tone, and you can decide that he is coming from a very loving place, and in turn he will come in from a much more loving place, because you're constantly seeing him as this loving person who's sending you these really loving texts, and they have a great tone to them, and they're really filled, and like they'll reflect that.
Yeah.
Sorry, rambling.
If we could all like the live stream as well, that would really help. There's 41 people in here and only 14 likes. It would be a huge appreciation from me. It just helps it get pushed out to more people, which just helps the channel grow even more, because we're almost at 10K. And when we hit 10K subscribers, we're going to be doing some big things. Still need to figure out what, but I'm going to make that promise now.
Now he can't back
now I can't back out. I'm a man of my word.
It's going to be a 10-hour stream.
Maybe. I'll consider it. I do it on my own.
I won't. Yeah, he can.
I'll do it on my own. It's fine. John M says, when you say /use "I remember when," do you use it as a constant affirmation for say 5 to 10 minutes, or throughout the occasion, or throughout the day occasionally, or just once? Thanks. So when I was using the "I remember when," I don't use it as much sort of now generally, but I use the "I remember when" very situationally. So there's been sorry, I got my finger stuck in a padlock. There's been 2 times that I've used the "I remember when" technique. The first one, Katie back. The second one, moving house. Now, when I used it for Katie was purely when negative thoughts come up. So if I found myself thinking about the negative, which I didn't as much as I know most people do, I found it quite easy to actually remove my thoughts from the negative. But if I did, I would use the "I remember when" as a sort of way to allow my mind to dwell on a negative, but from a more beneficial state. So I remember when we were broken up, but now we're better. And I would maybe do it a couple of times and then go on about my day until the negative thoughts next came up. But I never actually used it as an affirmation prior to that, or like prior to the negative coming up. Now, when it came to when I was moving house, same thing. I remember when I used to live here, but now I live somewhere else. I'm not going to say where, just because obviously that's where we live now. But I would do that every time I thought about my house and every time I went home. So as soon as I put my key in the door, I'd say to myself, "I remember when I used to live here, but now I live in a certain place." And that was Again, I use that only during those situations, and I never really used it as a normal affirmation during my normal affirmations, because there was no point reminding myself of what I don't want unless it was already coming to mind, unless I was already placed in that situation. So in those instances, when I'm just going about my day, I'd be like, I'm so happy to live in new place. But when I saw my old place, or the place I didn't want to live, or when I thought about Katie, I would say, I remember when this was the case, but now it's not, basically. Katrina says, here is another one. What are the underlying thoughts/emotions that made me manifest an SP that is already in a relationship? I haven't been manifesting this, but rather a committed and healthy relationship. So without sort of speaking more to you personally, it's very difficult for me to give you a pinpoint answer on that, because obviously everyone has different scenarios. But one thing that is quite common with this kind of scenario is previous relationships. You've always had someone that doesn't seem to want to choose you, and you feel like you're fighting for their attention and stuff like that. And what this does is it shows your subconscious mind that the people that you want don't choose you. And as a result, you end up bringing someone to light that doesn't choose you. Could be that you don't feel good enough to be chosen, stuff like that. And as a result, your subconscious mind is pushing you a reality where it shows that you're not the good enough one to be chosen. Those are like some scenarios where this kind of thing happens. Whether that's you is obviously a different story, because we haven't like worked together for me to know your situation. But that's generally that kind of reason, and that might be something worth looking into. But a way to try and find it for yourself is to kind of ask yourself sort of similar question that got me my answers a second ago, of like, what is playing out in front of me? As you said, you uh that they're already in a relationship and you haven't been manifesting that, but like, what could have created it? How have you seen this situation? How do you see people in relationships? How do you see your self-worth? Do you feel chosen? Do you feel like you're the person that gets what you want, or do you always feel like you're a people pleaser / like the one that has to just sit aside? What kind of things do you find that you think on a consistent basis, or you have fears or insecurities about? And then see if any of that kind of ties into this situation, and then that will give you a better answer. Random Name says, honestly, that big realization that mental spirals is just your mind trying to process and calm your nerve systems down has helped me be at ease when negative thoughts come up. Absolutely. It's just your mind trying to protect you. The only reason we ever really think about the negative is either A, we have some sort of anchoring to it. For example, this made me feel this way. Let me remind myself of that, so therefore I don't get hurt by it again. And when you're trying to, like, for example, resistance as well, a lot of people have resistance with affirmations and stuff. Your subconscious mind doesn't know, or your mind doesn't know the outcome if you were to continue down that path. Your mind loves familiarity, which is why it stores information and stories. So if you're like persisting in new affirmations, sometimes it can feel quite scary and quite resistant, because your mind is sort of saying, let's stay here, let's stay with this familiar, because it knows what happens in said familiar. Even if the familiar is something negative that hurts, because it's familiar, it'd rather choose that over something positive that it doesn't know about, which is why you have to kind of kick its ass to say, no, this is my new outcome, and then continue to persist in it. Kerry says, hey, could you give me a schedule for my affirmations? The general schedule that I recommend is morning, whatever kind of techniques you like to do, 5 to 10 minutes, evening, sort of just before you're going to sleep or as you're falling asleep, 5 to 10 minutes of whatever techniques. If you want to do something during like a lunchtime or sort of midday, by all means do so for sort of 5 to 10 minutes again. And then anytime you get any spare time, for example, when washing up or anything like that, I recommend you doing some affirmations or kind of whatever techniques you like then. And what this will do is it will start your day in the state, end your day in the state, and then kind of like top you up during the day. I do actually have a downloadable routine for my members. If you're a member, it's free for you. If not, I think it's like £6 per person. There's a little bit more on there, and it gives you a little bit more detail. That's on like the Buy Me a Coffee app. I highly recommend you check it out. And obviously, if you're already a member, go and grab it. It's completely free if you are a member. So, and it's only £6 to be a member. So I recommend you guys go check that out, along with some other cool stuff that you get on there for free also. Get a nice little plug in there. But that's the routine that I pretty much use personally.
It's really hot today. I'm like really burning up.
Oh dear. Yeah. Emma says, trying to manifest an SP, but very depressed when seeing happy couples. I was at a wedding this weekend and spiraled, feeling miserable without a date. How to get back into the state? Okay, so the first thing to do is to stop letting other people's success mean your failure. It doesn't matter if other people have got their pair people. And the thing that you could do for yourself that would actually benefit you in this scenario is to say, hey, they look like me now. You know, hey, they've got their people just like I do now. There's no reason why you have to sort of take it as their stuff makes me miserable. The other element is if you feel miserable being around a bunch of coupled up people and you're still single, manifest single person, it shows you're still looking way too much into the 3D and putting way too much care on the idea of being with a specific person. An example, I have a friend who's been single for many years. I don't think he's felt the touch of a loving woman for a very long time. And me and one of my other friends have partners and stuff. So we obviously talk about our times with people. And not once does he ever let it slip that he's even remotely unhappy being single or jealous of our relationships or whatever. And this obviously shows to us that whether he wants to be single or not, like whether it's a choice, whether he can't get anyone, doesn't really matter either way, but it doesn't concern him. And therefore, if he was to try and manifest this consciously, it'd be very easy for him because he's not in that negative concern for it. So if you're using other people's sort of relationships and successes as a negative for you, it shows you're looking way too much into, I don't have this makes me feel bad, and therefore putting way too much attachment and validation, or attachment and needing of validation from said desire, which is then obviously going to hold you back. But as for your question of how do you get back into the state, what I recommend you do is just start trying to get back into the state. Too many people will look for the perfect way to get back into a state, and the best way to do it is to just dictate your thoughts. If you feel yourself spiraling, if you feel yourself in a bad state, if you feel yourself negative, feel it through, take some deep breaths to sort of get yourself to a neutral point, and then get back into your affirmations or your visualizations or your scripts or whatever it is that you like to do. Do stuff that makes you happy as well, so you can actually bring some of that happiness back to you, and just start trying to get your thoughts back on track. And you'll find once you've started, it kind of snowballs. You'll get better and better and better and better. However, the longer you stay in that victim state of everyone else's happiness means that shows me that I'm miserable, the more you're going to experience of that. So just from now, or literally from this second, say, no, not having that anymore. I'm successful. I have my person. I'm loved. I'm adored, and yada, yada, yada. I enjoy my life, and then go on about it.
I think one thing that people quite often don't realize, and I'm not saying that this is a good thing to do all of the time, and I personally don't recommend it, because I don't think bottling stuff and pushing stuff down is a good idea at all. But when you're in the situations where you have no choice but to be happy, you are happy. So for example, if you are out with a bunch of people you haven't seen in a while, even if everything is going wrong inside and everything in your life seems to be going wrong, you don't want to bring them all down with you, kind of thing. So you have this fake smile on, and eventually through that evening of seeing them, you start to feel happy, because you're pretending that you're happy, because you don't get to see them very often, and yeah, everything else is wrong, but it's nice to have this like one thing to distract you, sort of thing. And I don't recommend bottling things up, but if you're really, really struggling and you just feel like it's just going down and down and down and down and down, one way to just bring yourself out of it so that you can then go back into it to process it is to fake it. Essentially, fake it until, they say like fake it till you make it, sort of thing. Force yourself to smile and force yourself to just do something completely different that makes you smile. Then you can go back to it and you can look at the state that you was in about that particular situation and go, right, I am better now to face that properly and sort that out. Like, I find that, when it's, not when it's really bad. If there's something really bad that's happened to you, I don't recommend doing that at all. But if it's something that you can, kind of like just push to one side for a moment, smile, find something to smile about for a few minutes, and just force yourself to just kind of smile your way out of it. Not necessarily having to smile, but, find that like that moment of happiness in the gloom and the darkness, sort of thing. You can find at least one moment of happiness, and the minute you find that one, you bring in another one, and then you bring in another one, and it snowballs, and you can keep searching for the little happies until you are good enough to go, right, I'm much better now. I can look at this from an outsider's perspective, not from the doom and gloom that I was in, and face it properly and sort it out in my mind properly, sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, like we mentioned in the beginning of the live stream, it's a shorter one today because we've kind of got everything ready for going away tomorrow. So I'm just going to do a couple more and then we'll have to head off. But so we have Alicia, who said, okay, amazing, thank you both. I'm going to move out and affirm we move back in and it's better than before, and know my end, which is marriage anyways. Absolutely. If you go straight to marriage, regardless of whether you move out today, tomorrow, next week, or never at all, marriage will come. It will be solved for you, and you'll find yourself in that end result where there is marriage. So don't worry too much if something negative happens. Everything is always changeable. Don't worry if you have to move out. Don't worry if your person says something negative. Don't worry if you don't get offered that job. Whatever it is that someone's experiencing, you can always shift it. And the more that you worry about it, the more you're keeping it in place. The less you go, cool, whatever, I can navigate through it, the easier things would be.
I have a request of questions that we answer. Only because Victory 3002 asked them both last live, and we missed them last time as well.
Okay.
So one of them is I don't know if Casey saw my comment last stream about tarot. Do you have any tips for beginners? Should tarot be used as guidance, and can they be used in case of manifesting? So tips for beginners with tarot cards is to connect with them. They will not work. They will not be helpful. They will not have any kind of like
Resonance?
No, resonation. What's the word? I can't remember the word. That resonate.
Yeah, resonation.
Yeah. Basically, they will have no kind of like real connection to you personally, and they won't be able to pick up anything from you and your energies if you don't connect to them. So people charge them with crystals, people cleanse them with incense. There's many different ways to make them like ready, and then to connect with them, I suggest not asking them any questions until you've held them and you put them on yourself and you put them under your pillow and you have them for a few days. People who like open it and go, oh, what is this, they won't get any kind of like answers straight away off the bat kind of thing. Sorry, rambling really fast because I want to get through the question. So should they be used for guidance? Yes, and only for guidance. Personally, I don't think that you should use them to tell you what your life will be. You should use them to tell you where your current track is. So if you are trying to get somewhere and you are at point A and you ask them, where is this heading? And they say point Z and you want point B, go, oh no, okay, I need to fix that internally, change your thoughts, work it out. They'll also be able to like show you where your thoughts are wrong, or where they're like misplaced sort of thing as well. So yeah, definitely only guidance and not fact, I would say, because yes, they are stating fact as in on that current path you will end up here, but they aren't guaranteed that you will end up there, because you can do whatever you like in this world. So if they're telling you you're going to end up somewhere where you don't want to be, then change it straight away. Using them for like manifestation, yes, because of that I just said. Basically use them as here you go, this is your current path, this is where it's heading, this is where it's leading. If you want to change it, just change it, just move it. And then the other question that they asked was about music.
Do you want me to find on here?
Yeah, sorry. What do you both think about music? Has it any impact on us? Can it improve our self-concept, belief, our confidence? 2 weeks ago, I found Queen Herbie's music. It's a confidence boost.
So yeah, music has a massive impact on us. I had to stop listening to certain songs because every time I did, our relationship would start to go a bit rocky and funny. So I have to like cut out certain artists and all that stuff. And I think that it can be good to build you up. I don't think music alone necessarily can be like a self-concept shift. I mean, it can like temporarily, it can probably make you feel really good and feel like you could take on the world. But I feel like it would be something that you probably have to do a whole lot of the time to make sure there's a consistent thing. But yes, absolutely, music does have a massive impact on your life, on your thoughts, on your state, and you definitely should be trying to utilize music that will benefit you, not what won't. Did you have anything?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think if you listen to a very positive, very happy kind of like I'm this, I'm that, I'm so amazing kind of song on the way to work, for example, you can then keep yourself in that state for quite a few hours afterwards. And again, I had the same thing when I'd listen to, like what's that song Before He Cheats. What's her name? Can't even remember. Oh, Carrie Underwood. Yeah. Like if I ever listened to that, I'd be like, he's gonna cheat on me. And then I'd be really mad at him. But like, so yeah, I do think it has a massive influence. especially when you go down, especially on Spotify, like recommend playlists, because usually if you type in a song and then it carries on through a few other songs, they stick to the same kind of theme. So if you're spending a good hour listening to a bunch of songs about men ain't shit, they're all horrible, they all cheat on you, they're all terrible, you're going to spend the rest of your day thinking, oh yeah, that's right, you know, they are terrible, they are awful. So I definitely think that they put you into a state, and you need to be like just wary. You don't have to cut it out, like some people do, some people don't, but you just have to be wary that, you know, if you're going to listen to like a bunch of stuff that's talking about how miserable and depressed you are, you know, don't let yourself then be miserable and depressed just because that's the way that it's made you feel, because you might not have anything to be depressed about. But if you listen to a bunch of songs that are all very, very sad, very upsetting, and very like heart-wrenching, then you're probably going to spend the next few hours quite sad, and then you're going to create sadness for yourself. So yeah, I think it's like, if you're going to listen to the kind of music that doesn't align with yourself, just pop one on afterwards that does, or, you know, shake it straight out of your head and go on and do something else.
My recommendation song to build up your mood is "Evacuate the Dance Floor" by Cascada. It's a great song. I absolutely love it. It's completely out of what I'd like to listen to, but it's just something that just really picks me up, and I'm like, yeah.
I actually have a playlist on my Spotify that's called Bad Mood Matt. So if he's in a bad mood, just press play. That's the #1 song. I think there's only 3 songs total on it, but that is the first one.
It's worth it. I recommend it. It's just catchy, and it's just stupid songs. It's just, yeah. Okay, so we've got Aiden Bishop Music says, howdy, been a lurker for a few live streams, but I thought I'd message for once. Thank you for all the videos you make. It has been really insightful. Thank you very much for showing us so much live streams and for supporting, but you're very welcome. I'm glad the content helps, and I will continue to do this for as long as I can, thanks to people such as yourself who support the channel. The laziest bee says, I have noticed that multiple desires lowers importance. Absolutely, 100%.
That's a great name.
So Amazing says, I agree with what you said. Thanks. I did watch your video on manifesting multiple desires. You did share a method of sporadically affirming. I loved it. How many times do you recommend to do it in a day? Whenever you get a chance, I recommend following the sort of routine that I gave to the other comment earlier. And then whenever you just have that spare time, for example, when washing up or walking to the shop already or anything, just kind of give it a go sort of thing. Just fit it in when you can. I actually have a video coming out soon over the next couple of weeks, because I've got loads of stuff coming out and I can't remember what days things are coming out, which is how to balance your spiritual life with your daily life. And in there, it kind of gives you a bit of an idea on how to make better use of that. So keep an eye out for that video. JRC says, Monday live, ? Awesome. I'm off today for the holiday. Enjoy the holiday. Glad to hear that you were able to show up to this one, because obviously I know you do a lot of work and miss a lot of our lives. So yeah, this Monday live, only for you. It was just because we missed the other days, but I'm glad you're able to show up because it was on a day that you're not working. Enjoy your time though. And then just one more. We'll do 2 more actually. So Amazing says, thank you so much, both of you. Much love. God bless you. Congratulations for your 10 subs. Yes, 10K subs. Yes, it's done. Absolutely. You're going to be there before we know it. We're already there. But no, thank you very much for the kind words, and you are very welcome. And Random Name says, gonna jog to Cascada now. Enjoy. Now LOA, and then I meant to say enjoy. I hope you enjoy it. But thank you everyone for showing up to today's live stream. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the live, for those of you that missed it, I will be on holiday, or we will be on holiday from tomorrow. Therefore, the responses to comments will be lessened. Obviously, every comment will get responded to, but it may be after a little while. If I can, I will be continuing my email clients, but that depends on the hotel Wi-Fi, which I won't know until I'm there. If you are interested in signing up for me for coaching with me email wise, you will either get to start your coaching now, and I will be writing you a minimum of once a day. If not, then it will start up immediately from when I get back, but there will be more than likely a waiting list, which means the sooner you pay for it, I suppose, the sooner you get on that waiting list, which benefits you most. So obviously take that however you will. There won't be any video calls until the Friday I get back, so next week Friday. But there's a lot of content coming out, a couple of viewer success stories, as well as an affirmations tape and everything like that. So that's coming out over this next week and such. So yeah, join the membership as well, because there's 2 exclusive members things there, and you get discounts on stuff, and you get loads of stuff. Basically, the membership is going to be building up and building up and building up, but it's there for you to check out. The link is...
Sorry, I was just going to say, when I finally have the chance to, it will have my side as well, won't it?
Yeah, her side of the
video
story of everything from our reconciliation, which I know a lot of people want. But yeah, so go check out the membership. You get loads of extra content, discounts, free stuff, and all that lot. If you're interested in coaching, sign up, and I'll either be able to start your coaching now, or you'll have to wait till I'm back. There will be no video calls until next week, but there is a lot of content coming out over the course of this week for you guys. So hopefully that at least keeps you guys busy and happy until we're back. So thank you everyone for showing up to this live stream. If I didn't answer your question today, I do apologize. If it's urgent, put it down in the comments below. If it's super duper urgent and you want to work with me, obviously, you know, the whole coaching spiel. And yeah, I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.